welcome back. We're talking with Dr. Cyprian Strawn, giving you options as to how to really improve your health and live the way that your body wants you to live. Let's talk about, well, magnesium in itself is really probably the way to reverse high blood pressure, period.
Period. Yeah. When we were in medical school, we were told that 90% of high blood pressure is something called essential hypertension. And so we'd sit amongst each other and say, what does that mean? And we didn't quite know what it meant. And later on, when we found out that it was just magnesium deficiency, we tried to figure out, well, did somebody know that it was just that simple and just that cheap? Or somebody didn't know and they just said, well, we're not sure, and so we just use this word. But it's just magnesium deficiency. And so let's say a typical patient comes in, I have high blood pressure, I wish to come off this medication. I've been on this medication for years. You know, they say it's affect your erection and that kind of thing. And so, okay, what you do is, one, you come off of seafood because you have so much iodine in the atmosphere and you have iodized salt because all of the shops are using it. You may have a bottle home. Your thyroid shuts down from the excess iodine. Take a break from the iodine, add the selenium. When you do that, the chemical processes that the thyroid was waiting to do, and the thyroid kicks in. When the thyroid starts to kick in, you no longer need your adrenal gland, your backup gland, to be over-secreting this cortisol.
So when you give diagnosis to a patient, well, instructions, let's say, to a patient, right? And they have to come off, you advise them to come off seafood. It's not a permanent come off, right? It's a period of time.
Because too little iodine is just as bad as too much.
Oh, okay.
So 2 to 3 weeks. Right.
Which isn't that bad. I mean, if
you've been eating seafood all your life.
Yeah, you could do it. It won't kill you not to be off of it for 2 or 3 weeks.
So you start your magnesium, but there are magnesium blockers in your regular diet. So we know that calcium tightens, magnesium relaxes. So you come off of dairy. No milk, no cheese, no yogurt, no cream, no evaporated milk. You have to be specific for some people. That means no macaroni, that means no pizza. You have to say all of that.
The thing is, too, though, I mean, it also means that you have to have a real awareness of what you're eating. And I'm not sure we all have an awareness of what we're eating. We might be figuring, oh, this ain't that, but then when you look at it, it really is that.
Right.
Yeah?
So you take away the calcium, take away the dairy, and then you take away nuts. Like I said before, a nut wants to be a tree. A seed wants to be a tree. They are full of nutrients, but they contain a binder, a chemical called phytic acid, that blocks you from getting it, blocks me, blocks the animals that are eating it. It's supposed to make you aware. You're supposed to feel bad from eating a nut. And so then you stop eating the nut so that it can grow into a tree.
All right, so I'll bring myself personally into this then, because I love nuts, right? But I found that lately, like, I'm not interested, like, I don't have the desire to eat them. What does that mean, you think?
Finally, the poison is getting to you, like how the nut and the seed work.
Or in other words, I done had too much in it, so it's not meaning that my body is getting healthy, it just means that I'm too unhealthy.
So the nuts and seeds block the magnesium and they block the zinc. Yeah, so this is a Caribbean thing. They talk about men in the Caribbean have more prostate disease or black men.
Right.
It's the nuts. We eat peanuts every day. We eat almonds, seeds. We think it's good for us, but it's blocking the absorption of the magnesium.
Wow.
Right? And it's blocking the zinc. Yeah. And so zinc has so many different benefits. Your white blood cells can't work properly if you don't have enough zinc. So the little children with ringworm, we have to give them their ringworm medication to kill the fungus, but we then have to watch their diets to take away the dairy, the nuts, and the chips, because MSG is now the other issue besides dairy and nuts. So there's a significant number of the population, you take them off of dairy and nuts, and you take away the MSG, and their blood pressures go back to normal.
Okay, but now, all right, if certain packaging should say what it includes, and I'm sure people who buy potato chips don't look at the packaging.
No.
So first of all, as for your own health, you should really be looking at what you're eating if it's listed, as it should be.
if it's listed as it should be. And when you say that, so monosodium glutamate is MSG.
Right.
The people who make the MSG are fighting a battle. They have so many products out there. And the US has watchdogs that are saying, listen, your MSG is giving me seizures. Your MSG is giving my children ADHD. Please stop it. And so the companies say, okay, we're gonna stop it in 2022, or we're gonna stop it in 2023 because we already have this production line and we need a new formula. There's somebody watching them. So monosodium glutamate now becomes calcium glutamate. You can't accuse me of lying. I didn't put MSG, I didn't put monosodium glutamate in it, but it's the same thing.
Oh, wow.
Right.
I only can stop you there because Bahamians eat a lot of Chinese food, and they're...
So Chinese get the blame for the monosodium glutamate, but all of the fast food restaurants are using
doing the same thing.
Everybody's using complete seasoning, right? I have issues with complete seasoning. I found that I have issues. I have people who have worse issues. My sister-in-law in Freeport, she has one restaurant she can go to in Freeport without breaking out like she's been stung by bees.
Wow. So what should you season your food with? Just like garlic
Salt,
powder?
black pepper, garlic powder.
The basics.
Powder. Yes, no combination seasoning. So the MSG now blocks the absorption of magnesium. Without the magnesium, the little children's brains don't slow down. They're popping all over the place. So the chips, the nuggets, the candies, the McDonald's sandwiches.
So obviously hyperactivity, but do you think this might contribute to ADHD as well? Or?
It does. That's what's the cause. Yes. The science is there. Anything that I say, people can Google right away. I've downloaded all of the illnesses. I have the scientific one-page supplement that's available for everybody. You put in MSG and hypertension. You put in MSG in migraines. You put it in, and it comes up. Google is the new Encyclopedia Britannica.
Wow. Now, you had mentioned that there was a recent seminar or a conference that the Minister of Health and Wellness initiated, and some very interesting things came out of that for you, huh?
Right.
Well, for all of us, I guess, yeah.
It gives them the power now to control what are considered bad foods, to stop the importation of what is considered unhealthy. And some of the things that the ministry was looking at were foods that may, the traditional foods that are overly processed. They were looking at foods that had a date that was too close to expiry date when you want to sell it to the Bahamas. And there is an issue with the US and their chicken or their beef where certain countries said, we don't trust you when you are raising your chickens. You're putting different things in your chickens and in your cows. And so we're not buying your meat, right? We are eating those same foods from the US. But with the understanding, with the powers that the minister has now, once we have the science behind us, we can say, well, we don't want that. There are countries that really enact these laws to save their people.
So this is also part of the reason why we're looking at, beyond the economic aspect of it, why we're looking at sourcing food from other places other than just the United States.
Right. So all the fast food restaurants are using MSG. We used to use MSG back in the day. We had accent. But my mother would cook a Sunday meal with accent. Nowadays, people go to the fast food restaurants, Bahamian and international, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And if you get your tuna and grits, they have put complete seasoning mix it into the tuna, right? Into the steamed sausage.
And you think this is
into
the
the
norm?
sauce.
From what you've seen, this is the norm, not everyone, obviously, but the norm.
Okay, I would eat breakfast from different places before I realized what was happening. Within half an hour, my heart rate would speed up and my neck would get stiff. Wow. I would then maybe ask. We asked so that we got a list of restaurants so that we could tell the patients where not to go, where not to eat. So it's not just an assumption. We ask. People freely tell us. And sometimes they are not even aware. They say, we don't use MSG. That's what the Chinese
But they
use.
don't realize,
You say,
yeah.
but do you use complete seasoning? "Oh, yeah, what's the problem? Read the back label. So there's a product called Sazon. Little stick on the front says no MSG. They didn't lie, but on the back it says disodium inosinate with qualinate. Code word MSG.
Wow.
So any combination seasoning. I had a patient that we struggled with her pressure and her sugar for years. She came in this morning and I looked at her and I said, I've been asking you questions, but what you seasoning it for years. And you keep saying, no, I don't use this, I don't use that. I said, do you use Maggi? And she smiles. I say, what? Yes, I must confess. I said, but that has MSG as well. Wow. So all this time we couldn't control your pressure and your sugar because the MSG interferes with the sugar numbers. MSG blocks the absorption of magnesium, and without the magnesium, everything is all this chaos. The schizophrenic medication doesn't work. So people on 2 and 3 high blood pressure medicines, 2 or 3 sugar medicines, 2 or 3 schizophrenic medications, 2 or 3 medications for sinus, and asthma, and they just struggling and suffering and
obviously frustrated too because I'm taking my medication regularly and nothing happening. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So Japan doesn't import iodized salt. There are several European countries that don't import iodized salt. Iodized salt was introduced to China in the 1970s, and they had people in the mountains who were having these abnormal children. You've heard the word cretin?
Yeah.
So the word cretin, I thought just meant it's silly or stupid. No, cretin is a medical definition of a special looking child that is iodine deficient. The mommy couldn't make a baby properly.
Wow.
So there's a picture in Google for cretin. Yeah, but that's just iodine deficiency. The mother can't make a baby properly. So the Chinese government introduces this iodized salt, and the people in the mountains do very well. And they keep checking their country to see what the introduction of iodized salt does. And the people who had sea breeze and seafood who lived on the coast start getting pressure, sugar, miscarriages, cancers.
Wow.
2 years.
Wow.
So iodized salt was not meant to be sold in the Bahamas. It should not be on our shelves. It should not be in our cupboards. If it's in your friend's cupboard, if it's in your cousin's cupboard, tell them to stop. If you're eating the same way and you feel like I've been eating this way all my life and I've been healthy, what changed? Why do I get a headache after I eat from certain people? I say, don't eat the church people food. The church people love, after church they're
coming after you, dog.
I get me some coffee and I say, no thanks, I won't have the grits and tuna. That's okay. I eat when I get home.
Yeah, but it means being more responsible for yourself.
And in those cases, though, the minister now has the power to say, maybe I will teach you all. Maybe I can't stop you all from using all the seasonings, but I can warn you, because the noodles famous. They cheap, but that little packet of seasoning.
Ramen noodles?
Yes, that packet of seasoning contains the MSG. You could use ramen noodles. You just season it yourself. I like the ramen noodles. I just throw away the packet. Salt, black pepper, garlic powder, chop a little onion, tomato in it. That feel good. That go down good.
All right. We got about 5 minutes left in the program, but what else will you want Bahamians to know? And of course, before you go, I want you to tell them if they're interested in coming to see you and going through your very strict regiment, which is only for a period of time.
There's a guy here from Cleveland Clinic over the weekend, the last 2 days, and he was talking on weight loss and weight management. There are several different things. One, you have to know that if you don't give somebody something to suppress their appetite, you're wasting their time, because it's not about willpower. We are biochemical machines, and if you don't take something to cut your appetite, if you don't reverse that chemical that's pumping that thing that's telling you what to eat, you ain't gonna never stick to your diet. And so part of what we do is we see the patient and we keep asking them, are you feeling full? Are you feeling satisfied? Because we have to make that adjustment. Because I had a problem from a child. I could not get full.
Really?
Right. So the next thing is you need to start lining up your list of motivation. Why do I want to do this? Mm-hmm. And the longer your list of motivations, I want to see my grandchildren, I tired of taking the pressure medicine, you start reading that list, and that's your energy, your power to keep you going, right? Because it is difficult, because you fighting your body that wants to, your body thinks it knows what's best for you.
So really this thing about second helpings, we really shouldn't have to have second helpings in a meal. I mean, on a special occasion maybe.
That's your body forcing you to do that.
But it shouldn't, we shouldn't have to do it, is what I'm saying. We shouldn't be doing it, is what I'm saying.
But we have no control. You don't run your body. Your body is a biochemical machine designed to keep itself alive. All the other animals, they go off as well and start eating and can't stop. They have those same concerns and issues. And so one is understanding that it's not you. You're not greedy, you're not lazy. It's just that your chemistry has changed. And so now you go and seek out, you could Google it yourself. There's everything there. You go out and seek out how to fix all of these little things that because you were doing good before, something switched. Now you don't have the zinc, so your prostate is at risk. You get diabetes, you get Alzheimer's, you get ringworm, and the white blood cells need zinc to swim up and kill an infection. Your infection ain't healing, you ain't getting your zinc.
You offered a very good explanation about diabetes. I think it went something like, it's not natural, unless you're type 1 diabetes, but most people here in the Bahamas are type 2.
Right.
It's not natural for sugar to be laid up in your body. Like you say, I can't remember the words you used.
Right,
but
because you have the cell and it's waiting for the sugar to come in, but there's some amount of chaos. There's something called insulin resistance.
Right.
Because of the amount of sugar, the body keeps secreting this insulin. And after a while, it gets chaotic to say, why is there so much insulin floating around? We're going to shut off the absorption of the sugar from the blood vessels into the cell. You take away the starch and sugar. And when you take away the starch and sugar, the body decreases the amount of insulin floating around. And the cells open back up. They're responsive to the insulin. The sugar comes out of the blood vessel and goes in the cell.
So it would come out of the usual excretion process?
It's sitting in the blood, and when we tested it high, it'll start coming out of there and going into your muscles and tissues and all the things it's supposed to do.
But what I'm asking is, when you're removing the sugar, where does it go?
Your body then starts to look for fat to burn.
Okay.
The body is a machine. The body has a backup plan. If you take away starch and sugar, within 48 hours, the body says, I'm going to burn fat. It'll burn a little muscle before it switches to fat burning, but that's what the fat was for. And so there's a keto diet. Ketosis, your body sending your body into fat burning, which is ketosis. It's a plan, and the ketosis stops you from being hungry. Part of God's plan. If you're wandering in the bushes, don't have no food, you don't need to feel hungry all day. So when you get into fat burning, and that's what your diet is supposed to do. That's what we were trying to drive you to. If we could stop you from eating the starch and sugar for 2 to 3 to 4 days, your appetite disappears and your body automatically starts burning fat.
It's interesting. Yeah. And so, Doc, when people want to learn a little bit more from this, tell them where they can find you.
Javon Medical Center on Madera Street, number 21 Madera Street in the Scottdale Plaza. Telephone number 328-6802, 328-1224.
Great. And in the meantime, get those 4 essential vitamins, right?
Selenium,
minerals.
magnesium, zinc, vitamin C.
Anything else you want to add before we close off today?
Do your research. If you feel like I'm talking foolishness, do your research. Take your research to your doctor, discuss it with your doctor, but do your research. I want people to go into their friends and family's cupboards, remove the iodized salt, remove the complete seasoning. If you know they have diabetes, if you know they have hypertension, if you know they have seizures, help them. They don't understand. There's a gentleman that came from Abaco to Nassau, couldn't control the seizures, and he had to start cooking for himself. And once he started cooking for himself, 3 months without seizures, right? Because he took out the MSG. And the MSG is everywhere. It's hidden in the sauces. It's hidden in the seasonings, all the little pockets, all the nice things, the sweet and sour sauce, the teriyaki sauce is in the tomato sauce that you put in your spaghetti, is on the pizza, the tomato sauce, the chips, the noodles.
Wow.
All of them have MSG. And the MSG now is passing through the placenta and affecting the unborn child. And so the research is saying that this is where we're getting the autism from, because these children's brains have been changed.
Could it also cause natural abortions, I guess?
There are a number of natural abortions just from the thyroid having too much iodine.
Wow.
Old story was insufficient iodine was the cause of thyroid problems. That's 50, 60, 70 years old science. Too much iodine is the problem now. Too much seafood without selenium is the cause of sickness. The other addition is the MSG. You get rid of the two of them, you decrease the consumption of two of them, basically wipe out 80% of sickness in the Bahamas.
And we need as many people around as long as we can have them, eh? Dr. Strawn, thank you so much, Dr.
Thanks for
Cyprian
having
Strawn.
me.
Great to see you, and let's all try and get healthier. Thank you all for being here and joining us on the Reid Between the Lines show. Take care.